वारी जाऊं मैं सतगुरु के, किया मेरा भरम सब दूर। हुआ प्रकाश आस गई दूजी, हुआ प्रकाश आस गई दूजी। उगिया निर्मल नूर, हुआ प्रकाश आस गई दूजी। उगिया निर्मल नूर, उगिया निर्मल नूर।
Bhupesh is asking, what is before life and after death? And is knowing that enlightenment? Bhupesh, that which is before life and after death is not to be known. And since it is not to be known, hence obviously knowing it cannot be called enlightenment. What then is enlightenment? Enlightenment is that which is before life and after death. Enlightenment is to be free of concerns about what comes before life and what is there after death. But you will continue to think in terms of past and future. Right? The worldly man lives in memories and hopes of the future. So he goes back a little. He says, you know what? I want to remember the day when my first birthday was celebrated. Here are the pics. Now he might be 50-year-old, but he is still quite gooey about those pics when he was this big. Similarly, he keeps worrying about the future. The spiritual man continues with the same tendency, just extends it a little. So the worldly man says, tell me, Mama, how was I born? Which hospital? What was the name of the nurse who first picked me up? What time was it? Who all were there? Did I say hi to you? Name the doctor. Is he still alive? Or did he pass away just by looking at my face? Don't you want to remember all that? Aren't those our favorite questions? And even if they are not, they are turned into your favorite question by the grannies of the house. You don't want to think about that, but she'll come and tell you, you know what? You are so big now, but you were so small. And I picked you up. And you turned me all wet. Now is your turn to do the laundry. So take this and clean this up. And future. Granny is about to die in the next 2 hours. It is 100% certain. But she is still talking about the marriage of the 6th generation. Right? Spiritual mind says, why only talk about the moment of birth? Why shouldn't I talk about that which was there before birth? And why only talk about the time till death? Let's be a little more ambitious. Let's talk about the next birth or what happens after death, etc. All this is just a perpetuation of man's fascination with time. And we are fascinated with time because we take ourselves as constricted and defined by time. Because you take yourself to be born, so you are greatly interested in that which was there before birth. What do you mean by birth? When were you born? If you were born, then I could tell you what is there before birth. But are you born? Really? The body is born? Yes. When were you born? Tell me. Now you scratch your head. You say, this is that same spiritual nonsense. The body was born, I was not born. So am I still in the womb?
Soul.
I must be the soul then. So the body was born without a soul if I was not born? Last I checked, both my feet were all right. There were souls. It is so difficult to convey this to you as a concept. Timelessness. To not to rise as a product of time. To not to fall and get decayed in the sands of time. To not to define yourself in terms of the changeable. This cannot be communicated. This has to be lived. Because we have become very, very accustomed to living identified with the changeable. We have surrendered to misery. We have surrendered to despair. Something happens. And it comes all over us. We are not totally attached, identified, immersed. And then that which has happened and taken control of us just goes away, like all things in time do. And we grin and grimace. We try to show that we have coped up well, that we have not been hurt. It's just that we have become habituated to hurt. Are you getting it? If you take yourself as a product of time, then time will keep taking away from you all that which time has given you. And tell me honestly, have you anything except that which time has given you? Have you? The result is we live constantly in fear and denial. We are so afraid that we will lose everything that we have. And we are also so ashamed of our fear that we keep denying that we are just scared. We keep wearing a pleasant mask. Forget about sharing with strangers. Forget about sharing with near ones. We don't even acknowledge to ourselves that every breath is afraid. By asking me what is there after death, you are only showing me that death is looming large on your mind. Why else would you ask a question about death? You are not asking me, is there death at all? You are not asking that because you are so certain of death. And why are you certain of death? Because that is what experience has taught you. Everything dies. And of course everything dies because you are living with the wrong things. They are bound to die. Human beings die, animals die, stuff dies, relationships die. You have never known something that cannot die. So now you are asking me what is there after death. And if I know that, will I be enlightened? In other words, if I know what is there after death, will I be spared from dying? Why don't you simply tell that you are afraid? That would be a more direct and honest question. Sir, death terrifies me. And that is the question. Death terrifies me. That is a more genuine question. Now I have to spend so much energy in just unraveling your question. That should not be needed. Apparently you are talking of enlightenment, but actually you are talking only of fear. In fact, all talk of this and that is only talk dripping fear. It's just that it humiliates us to simply write FEAR as the question. So what do? We write an entire epic, and then it is my burden to translate that epic into just 4 letters. All our epics, all our stories are just a dirty 4-lettered word beginning with F. Somnath is hopeful of. No, it's just FEA. Get rid of whatever you are afraid of. Then you won't need to talk of enlightenment. You are already enlightened. You are already that which was there before birth and after death. But as long as you are identified with birth and death, which means with this body, you will keep asking such inane questions. These questions cannot be answered. Timelessness has to be lived. Fearlessness has to be lived. And if you are living fearlessly, then you don't need enlightenment. In your moments of joy, in those instances when you had a glimpse of the beyond, were you thinking of enlightenment? Yes? Were you thinking even of the Atman and Brahm and the source from where all life flows? Were these things material to you then? Were they? And if you are listening attentively to me, does enlightenment mean anything to you right now? What is here right now is sufficient. Who needs enlightenment? If you know love, isn't love enough? If you know discipline and surrender, aren't they enough? If you know immersion, isn't that enough? You need enlightenment because you are simply scared of something being snatched away from you. In order to secure it, ensure it, guarantee it, you talk of fancy stuff, divine sparkles. Yeah. What does it mean to live timelessly? It means to abide in that which the world has not given you. The world is time. When time began for you, the world too began for you. That's what you call as your birthday. The world is time. Live in that which the world has not given you. Now list down what all you have. And unfortunately you are likely to find that everything that you have has been given to you by the world, which is time. It's found in the world, and from the world it has come to you. Your knowledge, your self-concept, your religion, your gender, your economic status, your respectability, your clothes, everything. Relationships. Is there something that you have that the world did not give you or the world did not teach you? Is there something that you know but were not indoctrinated in? Keep it even simpler. Is there something about you that is neither social nor biological? Because that's what the world is, right? The world is either material or mental. That's what the world is, right? The world is either things or thoughts. So either material or mental, which means either biological or social. Thoughts require language, and language comes from society. So is there anything with you that is neither biological nor social? It is possible to not only have that thing, but also live in it, live by it, live as it.
Free will.
Consciousness.
Now. The present moment.
Whatever it is, it will scare you. Free will is such an alluring concept, is it not? My own thing. If there is something beyond the body and society, it will break you down. That's a hint. Because you are composed of the body and the society. So anything beyond it cannot be you. It has to be beyond you. And if it's beyond you, you will tremble. Me, beyond me. Bhoot. What is that you beyond your thoughts? What is that which you neither know nor have produced, but is still so very you?
Just like a spectator, observer.
Yes. Something that you don't understand, but still magically know to be true. Something that you just can't make sense of and yet can't resist. Something that is so very beyond and yet does not appear alien. if you are living in that, then you would be destroyed, and hence there would be nobody left to be scared. A lot of young people here, if you have ever really have had even a fleeting glimpse of love, then you know what I am talking of. You can make no sense of it. I am not talking of hormonal love. It makes you shiver. You know that it hasn't come to build you up. You know that it will. Turn you bankrupt. And yet you cannot resist it. The thing with the real is that it is not a thing. And because it is not a thing, your senses refuse to believe in it. Because your senses are designed and trained to deal only with things. Real love is not a thing. So most people stay clear of it. Devotion and surrender and understanding are not things. So most people never ever understand, nor do they devote themselves or surrender. The result of living in the material is a life steeped in death and fear, because no material ever stays. Nothing that is material will ever fulfill your expectations of immortality. If it has a form, it will betray you. If it has a name, a shape, it is going to cheat you. It is going to cheat you because your nature is timelessness. And that is why you want guarantee of survival, security, don't you say? Even while purchasing something like this, will this last? Don't you ask that? Bhaiya kitne din chalega? That should tell you something about your heart, your nature. It doesn't want stuff that time will take away. Even while purchasing this, it is looking for immortality. And then you ask her, will you stay with me this entire life? What else are you seeking? You are seeking deathlessness. You are seeking something that won't be terminated. Aren't you? Always? Yes or no?
Yes.
The moment you come to know that either your body is about to leave you, or a relationship is about to die, or even something material as a curtain or a television or a picture frame or an air conditioner is about to expire, how does it feel? How does it feel? Because the nature is timelessness. Therefore you are looking for that timelessness even in material things. It's both great and ugly. It's great because when you hunt for timelessness in this world, you are only expressing your nature. And it's ugly because you are hunting for timelessness where it doesn't exist. You won't get it because it's so easy to get. Yes. Have something that remains untouched, uncorrupted. And then you have one death over. Be so certain of something that no piece of news is able to uproot you, disturb you, shake you, dislocate you. Have something that is beyond doubt. Have something that is not conceptual. Have something that is so total that its opposite does not exist. Have something that is beautiful if it is shown to be good, and have something that is equally beautiful if it is proven to be ugly. So you won't be bothered whether it is proven to be nice or ugly. You know that it is sometimes nicely beautiful and sometimes not nicely beautiful. But beautiful it always is. And then you won't need enlightenment. Probably that is called enlightenment. To not to need enlightenment. You always need enlightenment from ignorance, don't you? You need enlightenment from ignorance, just as you need liberation from bondage. What if the bondage itself is unnecessary? Is liberation such a big thing then? That is liberation. To see that bondage itself is needless. To see that bondage itself does not really exist. Now who needs liberation?